Essays for the 99%, Parts 1 through 6 and Part 7, The Collection and Class Warfare. Written by John David. Narrated by John David. This is Part 3, The Auction. In Part 2, I left you with a call to action regarding the upcoming election we are about to have. In that election, if nothing changes, we will once again elect either heads, the incumbent Democrat, or tails, the winner of the nomination process, or as I like to say, the highest bidder amongst the field of Republican candidates. The title of this essay is The Auction, and I chose that name because that is effectively what our electoral process has become. The player names will change, but the game remains the same. This time around, a Republican will be nominated to oppose a Democrat, as if it really matters which face the millionaire wears. A, B, C, or D, they all have one very important trait in common. That is, they are nothing like you and me, the 99%. As I write, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, are being spent in pursuit of being anointed the winning candidate. How odd is this democratic system of government that we now have, whereby whoever has the most gold wins? How much further from the founders' intentions can this process possibly be? The saddest, most terrible part of this whole dog and pony show is that, in the end, there will be no winner for the American people, the 99% of this nation who are the heart, the soul, and the backbone of our society. There will be only losers, and they will be us. We will all be losers, as yet another millionaire buys the crown, and therefore the right to lead us even farther down the path of destruction. More jobs will be sent overseas, more foreign wars enacted, more homes foreclosed upon, and more families torn apart, simply so that we can say we let this so-called democratic process work again. Would it not be so much more effective, honest, and beneficial for the nation, for us all, if we simply held one huge, final auction the night before the election in November, whereby each candidate simply bid as much as they and their puppeteers were willing to pay each of us for our vote? Instead of spending those hundreds of millions and billions on attack and smear ads, stupid campaign posters, flyers, and other political refuse, we simply allowed our masters to pay us directly for the office of president and for all political offices. The other day, I actually heard one of those simpleton commentators employed by a news network actually say as much regarding the Republican nomination process. Candidate A is spending umpty dollars per vote received, whereas Candidate B has spent umpty dollars plus 10, she enthused, never once opining that there could not possibly be a clearer picture of the fatal virus that infects our electoral process than the statement she had just made. As I said, if this is how we are to determine our rulers and leaders, then let them give us the money directly. I, for one, can certainly use the cash. We as voters should be able to simply go online, register to vote, and list our vote for sale to the highest bidder, eBay style. The more conscientious of us would of course set a high reserve, because God forbid that we sell our right of self-determination too cheaply. Candidates could then log into the auction and instantly determine how much will be needed to buy the current election, with all of the proceeds actually going to the voters instead of the pundits, commentators, spin doctors, and other non-essential election service providers. If we ran our elections this way, at least the process would be honest, without the candidates needing to maintain the pretense of having any desire to become a public servant, thereby interfering with the transaction we are enacting. We, the people, would also be spared the charade of pretending that heads actually was better than tails, and that was why we voted for them. Realistically, in the last few elections, we have really not voted for the better candidate. We have voted against the more awful one. Imagine this more perfect political climate. There would be no campaign signs mucking up the landscape, no ads blaring, "Heads is worse than tails by far," cluttering up our airwaves, our minds, and polluting our eyeballs, forcing us to engage in fruitless water cooler chats over whether heads or tails is the better choice this time around. You see, the auction really is the best policy, isn't it? What better sign of commitment can a millionaire or billionaire possibly make to the 99% besides demonstrating the willingness to spend a sizable portion of their largesse to buy the right to lead you? Are you not entertained by this circus? But now, you say, I am offending you. How dare you imply that I would simply sell my vote to the highest bidder? I am an educated, honorable American citizen. Are you really? What makes you believe that? What have you done to demonstrate that you have any actual principles that have not been force-fed to you by the overlords of our society? Politically speaking, have you ever taken a real stand for anything? Be honest. You are afraid to. You have listened to those who have warned you against wasting your vote by actually using it for its intended purpose, that is, to reflect your political will and the will of the people of this great nation. Instead, every election, you actually have wasted that vote by refusing to even consider that someone who has not spent umpty $1,000,000 might actually be the most worthy and the best leader that we could ever possibly find. Don't you know that this great nation was founded in defiance of the divine right of kings? That the founders specifically repudiated the idea that money and power should have anything to do with determining the right to rule the people? Have you ever actually read the Declaration of Independence? Why not? Maybe you should. I'll help you out a little. Here we go. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That means so blatantly obvious that further explanation is unnecessary. That all men and women, emphasis and paraphrase mine, are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That means you have agreed to this. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government. Does this ring any bells? Have you consented to this? If so, please stop reading now, because this essay is not for you. You already have what you have paid for. If not, by all means, continue reading. This essay is for you, the 99%, the heart, the soul, and the backbone of this great nation. The gal who pours your coffee every morning, the guy who dumps your trash every week, the flat-footed cop on the beat, the teacher of your children, all of whom do what they do every day, never expecting that they will receive anything that they do not deserve, that they have not worked for and earned. They are the ones that I write this essay for. I care not for the millionaires and billionaires, the 1% who are the owners of this nation. I will not mourn their passing, nor should you. They have had their reward and their chance to do what was right. They simply chose not to do it. Regarding the 1%, I have only this to say. You will be held accountable. For every job you sent overseas so that you could get another $1,000,000 in your annual bonus, for the blood money you took for your disloyalty and betrayal of our nation, our people, of our way of life. Free trade. What a cruel joke. What did you trade our way of life for? Money and nothing else. Certainly not idealism or patriotism. For every Joe Six-Pack trying to explain to his children that we have to move now because we can't afford our house anymore, as he died a little inside, that is also on you. For every broken man or woman lying in some ditch somewhere, mumbling to themselves, remembering what they used to have or do, their misery is upon you. You put them there. Are you proud? Are you fulfilled? This was your neighbor, your friend, the guy you went to high school with, the gal at your senior prom. The proud men and women of this great nation who built a fledgling democracy from the ground up, who planted our flag on the moon and built roads, bridges, and monuments to democracy because they believed in the American dream, who now despair because they cannot provide for their children. Their misery is also upon you. You should be ashamed. You have everything that you need, plus more. They have nothing, not even dreams. You took those away from them too. You sold them to the highest bidder overseas, to some foreigner who, like you, delighted in their despair. Are you happy now? Are you a success? Are you a patriot? I think not. Do you feel pride in the misery you have created? Will your money comfort you in the next life as it has in this one? Consider that question most carefully, for the ears of the Lord are open to the prayers of the righteous, and most certainly that is not you. The price of your betrayal will be paid. For the rest of us, the 99%, we must also accept some responsibility for letting this happen, because we stood by and watched and did nothing, even though many of us knew we were being led down a path of destruction. We have watched for years as political offices were bought and sold to the highest bidder. We watched those leaders dance on the strings of their masters as we let quarters and dimes rule us. I, for one, would rather have a new, clean, Liberty dollar leading this nation. Someone nobody has ever heard of, a person who has spent their whole life in the service of those around them as they quietly and efficiently did the right thing without ever being asked or paid to do so. Perhaps that person is reading this essay right now and humbly thinking to themselves, "He's right. We really do need someone just like that person, whoever they are." The goal of this essay was to provide you with some clarity, to help you see things as they actually are. The choice really is very simple. This November, you will be asked to give away your vote to heads or tails without payment. Or you will be told repeatedly by pundits and perhaps even by your friends, you can waste your vote and use it to actually express your democratic will. Which will you choose? Remember, you will not be paid for giving your vote to heads or tails. Ask yourself this question. If I win this election, that is, my candidate spends more to buy it, what will I, my family, my friends, and my neighbors have won? Anything? When I wake up the morning after, will I feel regret? Will I want to chew my arm off for casting that vote? Or will I feel pride? Pride because I took the path less traveled by, the one that has made all the difference. Choose wisely. Thanks for listening. This has been Essays for the 99%, written by John David, narrated by John David. Copyright 2011 to 2012, John David. Production copyright 2012 by John David Author.